Guys, in this video, we're going to talk about the new Vohra Method reports. Now, here's the thing. Vohra Method is not like most school classes where, you do an exam every so often or a quiz every so often. Here, you're doing the equivalent of several quizzes and tests every single lesson. Every time you're here, we're exploring what you're doing very, very deeply. So it's more complicated for us to report things, and this report is designed to help share the type of very intensive work that we do in class with parents. And even though this report is going to look a little bit complicated in this video, I'm going to show you how to read it, how to understand it, and I promise you it's not going to be that scary and that complicated, and it's actually going to give you a lot of really useful information to help guide you as you move forward. So let's look at these different columns. The first column is probably the most important one, and this one tells you what worksheets you've done. You'll notice that some of these worksheet names are green and some of them are not. The green ones are main sequence worksheets. Those are the worksheets that everyone does. Those are the worksheets that are listed on the checklist. So if you get nothing wrong ever, all you're going to do is main sequence worksheets. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen for almost anyone. So in addition to these green worksheets, you're going to see the responsive worksheets. For this student, we have factoring, exponents, combined like terms as examples of responsive worksheets. What does that mean? It means that the student made a mistake in factoring, so we gave that student a worksheet about factoring. Now, on this next column, this learning phase, that tells you how well we think you know this subject. So, for example, in this one, we think that the student knows a mathematical path's about a 4, and that means that they are able to do the problems quickly, but we haven't tested the long-term recall yet, and we'll be testing that long-term recall on future worksheets in the review sections. Over here, factoring, we have a 5. We're saying, look, we've tested it many times, and it really seems like the student knows it. Over here is the last time that you worked on it, and that's just mostly just so you know what a student has done when, how long it's been, things like that. And if something is more than 30 days old, then it's going to get grayed out to let you know that that's kind of old and the information might not be as accurate as it is for some of the newer things. Why? If a lot of time has passed, if you've traveled a lot, the student might have forgotten something if that hasn't been checked. Usually, if we see something like that, we're going to recheck it in class anyway. But if you just haven't been in class, then this will let you know, some of the things that might be things that we're going to revisit later. This column over here, the number of completed attempts, now this is a really important column. It lets you know how many times you have attempted to learn the topic. What does attempting to learn the topic mean? It means you've completed the worksheet. So if you've done a worksheet one time, it means that you have attempted to learn the topic one time. If you've completed the worksheets 5 times, it means you've attempted to learn the topic 5 times. And what happens? Maybe you forgot it. Maybe you learned it, then forgot it. Then you learned it again, and then you forgot it again, and then you learned it another time. And so the point is, we're going to repeat these worksheets as much as you need to so that you can make this a part of your permanent knowledge. Remember, we don't teach you anything that's not absolutely essential. And so anything we teach, we're going to reteach it until we're 100% sure that you know it. And you'll see that on this column, it kind of gives you a bit of a color coding of how much of an urgent situation this is. We can see in this factoring that the student has had to do this 6 times, and that means they've forgotten it, the entire topic 6 times, and that to us is a bit of a red flag. And so we're going to really start to focus on that. Whereas with mathematical paths, they've only done it once so far. Might have to repeat it in the future, we don't know. Over here, for this student, we say that language to math is 0. What does that mean? It means you have started the worksheet, but you have not gone all the way through that worksheet. Remember, we only count it as a full attempt if you've gone all the way through the worksheet. If you've done half the worksheet or 90% of the worksheet, that's still not a full attempt, and it'll still say a 0 on there. Hours spent. What does that mean? It means that how many hours have you spent on this topic? Aggregate. So this person spent 20 hours on factoring, on the factoring worksheet. Why? Probably each time they didn't spend 20 hours, but the accrued time is 20 hours. It took the person about 10 hours to do mathematical paths. Now, what you'll see is that some of these cells are colored and some are not. A darker color means you're starting to spend maybe a little bit more time than is necessary. 10 hours is about normal. I mean, that's not anything unusual to spend 10 hours in a worksheet. Whereas if you spend 30 hours on combining like terms, that lets us know that we need to increase the intensity of what we're doing. If this was a real student, this is obviously just a made-up test student, but if this was a real student who'd spend 30 hours in combining like terms, we'd send home problems, we'd recommend software, we'd make sure that you learn this material, we would do whatever it takes to make sure that that information is in your brain. It's not enough to just try to teach it to you. We're going to make sure that you learn it no matter what. So that's what these things over here represent. Now, of course, make sure you look at the keys so you understand what these different learning phases mean. The keys start from, phase 0, that's learning to focus. Sometimes new students come in and they just can't even really focus on the topic at all. They're distracted, etc. And over time, those same students become able to not just focus on the problem, but actually do these types of problems, apply these skills to new high pressure situations. That's the type of transitions and transformations that we want to see here at Vohra Method, and it's the type of stuff that you should expect to see. So these are the new worksheet. This is the new report. Again, I know it seems a little daunting when you first look at it, and that's just because in our program we really work very, very intensively with students, and we like to communicate that, both between ourselves and the students and between ourselves and the parents. If you have questions about this worksheet, just email me at arvin@vohramethod.com. Thanks for watching.